Hey guys, this is Jaden here. So, I was recently messing around in DS Desert Hills when I found something completely unexplainable. Based on every known rule on how the checkpoint system is supposed to function in Mario Kart Wii, there is no way this should be possible. So, I highly recommend watching my checkpoint system explanation video first, which I recently re-uploaded to fix the volume. I know a lot of you were having a problem with the audio being too low, so the link to that new video will be in the description. Now, this discovery could very well be the key to breaking Mario Kart Wii's checkpoint system once and for all, or gaining a new understanding of it at the very least. There's also the very distinct possibility that this won't be very useful for anything at all. It's just too early to tell. I found this about a week and a half ago, and I've been investigating it as much as I can ever since. But I've kind of hit a standstill at this point, so I figured I'd just make this quick little update video just to show you what I found. And I already done a lot of research, but I didn't want to make a whole video on all of that yet. There will be a link to a Google Doc, though, in the description, which will have all of my specific findings. And of course, if you want to ask me any questions, I'll always answer them in the comments. But I guess I should show you exactly what I found. So I'll try to recreate exactly how I found it first. So I'm using a checkpoint mod and a future fly mod, as always, and that's what I was doing when I found it as well. I was kind of just goofing around, but I went out of bounds in checkpoint region 54, and I was trying to approach the start line from the opposite direction. Now, if you know how the checkpoints work in Mario Kart Wii, you know as soon as I get close to the start line, it should just update to checkpoint region 0. However, I was staying a little bit farther to the right than usual, and trying to avoid the fire snakes, and when I stayed to the right here, instead of updating to checkpoint region 0, it updated to checkpoint region 48, as you can see. And at first, I obviously thought this was just like an error with the checkpoint counter, because checkpoint 48 is all the way over there. There's no way I would be able to hit it from here. So the first thing I did is I tried to test it out to see if this was actually real. And the easiest way to do that is just to die in this checkpoint region 48 and see where it respawns me. And it respawns me right here before the final turn. Then I went back to checkpoint region 54 and died there, as that would be the checkpoint the game would think I'm in. And, sure enough, checkpoint region 54 respawned me right in the final straightaway. 2 different respawns, proving that there are 2 different checkpoints. And this checkpoint region 48 out of bounds is indeed a real checkpoint. So at this point, I kind of was freaking out, but I investigated which checkpoints this checkpoint region 48 can appear from. So I kind of worked backwards, and I got it to appear from any of the checkpoints that the regular checkpoint region 48 would appear from. So I have a quick visual to help show that real quickly. As you can see, the stars where I was able to trigger checkpoint region 48 from. However, that actually extends much farther out of bounds. From that star to like the top left corner of the screen, even off screen, it goes. It extends very far out of bounds. And as you can see from the red arrow pointing at the checkpoint region 48, that's nowhere near where I was able to trigger it. And if you see the key checkpoint region in front of it, which is checkpoint region 54, all the way back to checkpoint region 44, the key checkpoint region of 44, sorry, I was able to get 48 to appear. However, that's not exactly true, and that is because depending on which checkpoints I went out of bounds from, I actually got checkpoint 48 or 49 to appear. So when I went out of bounds from 47 or lower, so 47 to 44, I was able to get checkpoint region 49 to appear, which I'll show you right now. You can see it goes from 46, and as soon as I get to that glitchy area, way out of bounds, 49. And if you're wondering, if you got out of bounds from 48, it stays 48. Get out of bounds from 49, it stays 49. And it's only this checkpoint region. I checked all the other checkpoint regions in this race, and it's only this one. And it's only 48 and 49. So the next logical choice was to investigate other tracks, which I did, and I found it in a ton of tracks, which I was not expecting. But I also was expecting, if I was able to find any other instances of this, that they would all be the same, which was not true at all. Now, I don't want to bore you with the technical aspects of this, but I'll leave that for the Google document I was talking about. But the big generalizations I was able to come across was that races that have branching paths in them are much more likely to have these checkpoints. And I think this out-of-bounds checkpoint can be created in multiple ways, and branching paths is the most likely. As you can see in DS Desert Hills, there's no branching paths, yet this checkpoint still exists. Now, I think it appears in tracks with a branching path because there's some error in the way the last checkpoint before the two branching paths is connected to those two checkpoints of the branching path, as that's usually what the checkpoints were that were found way out of bounds, were checkpoints right by the branching path. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do now is show each individual track and where I was able to find these glitchy out-of-bounds checkpoints. Now, as I said earlier, I'm not going to go into the technicalities of each individual checkpoint. I just wanted to show each of the tracks they're in. They're in a total of 12 tracks. I'm just going to go in order that the tracks are usually. So I'm starting with Mushroom Gorge, and the out-of-bounds checkpoint can be triggered from checkpoint regions 15 to 19, which is on one of the branching paths. And the out-of-bounds checkpoint is located in the top right corner of the map. As you can see, it jumps right to checkpoint region 10, which is the glitchy out-of-bounds checkpoint in Mushroom Gorge. Now I actually found 3 out-of-bounds checkpoints in Coconut Mall. Checkpoint region 6, checkpoint region 44, and if you go north or south of the track, you can also trigger checkpoint region 5. Checkpoint region 11 is reachable just north of the track. However, if you try to reach it from checkpoint region 4, it no longer exists. As you can see, I go right where I was before, and checkpoint region 11 no longer exists, and this only happens in just checkpoint region 4. Also, if you go out of bounds from checkpoint region 12, similar to how we were able to trigger a second checkpoint in DS Desert Hills, we're able to trigger a second checkpoint in Dry Dry Ruins, that being checkpoint region number 10. Checkpoint 27 is reachable from this branching path in Bowser's Castle if we head all the way north of the track. Checkpoint regions 79 and 83 are reachable from either of the branching paths in Rainbow Road and can be located west of the track. Checkpoint regions 8, 11, 20, and 23 can all be reached by going out of bounds in GCN Peach Beach. Checkpoints 11 and 23 can be reached by going to the bottom right portion of the map, while checkpoint regions 8 and 20 can be reached by going to the top right corner of the map. Checkpoint regions 10 and 15 can be triggered from either of the branching paths in GBA Shy Guy Beach, and found in the top right corner of this map. Checkpoint region 27 can be found north of the track in DS Delfino Square from one of the branching paths. However, just like Dry Dry Ruins, if you try going out of bounds from one specific checkpoint, in this case checkpoint region 41, checkpoint 27 will no longer appear. GCN Waluigi Stadium is near identical to the Dry Dry Ruins, in that it has one checkpoint region that can be triggered from most of the checkpoints, in this case checkpoint region 37. However, from the last checkpoint region in the range of checkpoints in which checkpoint region 37 would normally be loaded in, a different checkpoint is loaded in, that being checkpoint region 36, one lower. However, just like Dry Dry Ruins, there's also one checkpoint that does not work at all again, this being checkpoint region 30. As you can see, for checkpoint region 30, checkpoint region 37, nor 36 appear anymore. Checkpoint regions 2, 4, 5, and 6 can all be triggered out of bounds in GCN DK Mountain. Checkpoint region 5 being found just north of the track, 2 and 6 just a little bit farther north of the track, and checkpoint region 4, for whatever reason, is all the way down in a small box in the bottom right corner of the map. As you can see, I trigger it right about here. Checkpoint regions 36 and 39 can be triggered from either of the branching paths in N64 Bowser's Castle, and can be found in the bottom left corner of the map. Alright guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for this video. Now, those were just the checkpoints that I was able to find. It's very likely that there's a lot more that I just missed, so hopefully they will continue to be found in the future. I guess the main takeaways you should get from this video is that there are now checkpoints that have been found out of bounds. I'm not even sure if they are actual checkpoints coded in the game or not, otherwise I think they would have been found, but they exist in very specific and hard to understand situations. And as hopefully time goes on, we'll be able to understand why they appear more, and hopefully gain a better understanding of how the checkpoint system works and why these checkpoints exist, and hopefully if they can be used for any shortcuts. So, and it just blows my mind that a decade after the games came out, discoveries this huge are still being made, and it just makes me really excited to see what else is going to be found this year. So, thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon with more Mario Kart Wii glitch content.